children do. This year the Queen Quet coming to Hunter one more again from this year Gullah Geechee Nayshun Nyews. Now Hunter children don't see this year gal face off plenty of time on this year program. This year the sister Audrey Peterman of Earthwise Productions, and she also one the member of the Gullah Geechee Fishing Association. So we're so glad that she to join we here today and things like that while we to crack we teeth with the Gullah Geechee Fishing Association and we biologist and take Dr. Dion Hoskett. Now, one thing Hunter children know about Sister Audrey, she a consultant all around the place for people to understand, so people of color like to be outdoors too, and things like that. So, Sister Audrey, how things are going?
Everything is wonderful, my queen, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you.
So glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So now I know that you have done a lot of work with Breaking the Color Barrier Conference, which was outstanding, Earthwise Productions, being involved in so many different things. And one of the partnerships you have with Earthwise Productions is with the Environmental Defense Fund.
Yes.
Who also the Gullah Geechee Fishing Association has worked with for the past year.
Yes.
Now tell me, why do you think it's important for a traditional organization, shall we say, like the Gullah Geechee Fishing Association, to work with a more nationally recognized organization like the Environmental Defense Fund, who many might say, well, I didn't even know the Environmental Defense Fund worked with people of color. Because a lot of times when they do see literature, they may think, well, I thought they only deal with creatures in the water. And I thought it was only Anglo people dealing with creatures in the water.
Yes.
Why is it important for those types of partnerships to happen?
Well, I think it is vitally important for those partnerships to happen because there are benefits to each entity.
Mm-hmm.
The Environmental Defense Fund, or let's call them the mainstream environmental group then, has many benefits to be derived from working with communities of color and grassroots people.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Things happen on the ground. All politics is local.
You're right.
Since the Environmental Defense Fund is working to save ocean environments across the country and across the world indeed, they have to make sure that they're working with the people who are working with the ocean,
Absolutely.
who are living off of the ocean.
Right.
And so it's a perfect relationship for them to have with the Gullah Geechee Fishing Association and the Gullah Geechee people, because your people have historically lived on the land and lived off of these waterways for more than 300, almost 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you have never depleted your supply.
Exactly.
You have never been less than sustainable.
Right.
So I actually think that one, the Environmental Defense Fund has the funding and the political influence, whereas the Gullah Geechee people have the natural abilities, the cultural legacy that can teach them how to do it. And also, when you put the two together, you have the money, you have the political, and the knowledge. Precisely. You have a complete package.
Right, and see, that's so key, saying the complete package.
Yes.
When you talk about sustainability.
Absolutely.
Because something else within your statement was about the Gullah Geechee people being able to teach them.
Yes.
And you know, as being a person of color yourself, more often than not, as you said, mainstream groups and governmental groups come into the communities of people of color and tell them, we're here to teach you.
Yes.
And then there is a chasm that tends to open up because the traditional knowledge is not always respected. What do you think about those types of situations? And are they things that can be bridged when that chasm is there? Or do you feel like, oh, it's just futile after you have a situation where the traditional knowledge people feel like, well, they're being put upon, they're being told, we're here to teach you, instead of them being able to teach and share what they know?
Yes, but I think that that chasm has to be bridged. It is vital. It is essential for it to be bridged if we are to go on to sustain our planet. I mean, if we just look at what is happening in Japan now, and the reverberations are, reaching us here in America, we know that it's going to take all hands on deck to actually make a positive impact on our environment. So I think that there's a lot of learning that has to take place on the part of mainstream environmental groups. Yesterday, in fact, Frank and I did an interview with Audrey magazine. And one of the things that the young man was asking us was, why is it so difficult for mainstream environmental groups to connect with people of color? And we're saying, well, it is because of, in a lot of cases, they have preconceived ideas about their own superiority in terms of what they know from the basis of science or what they know from the basis of their privilege. And they tend not to ascribe the same values to people of color or grassroots communities. But the fact is, the grassroots communities that are living close to the land are living close to the rhythms of nature and have more of a healthy relationship with the land, and so consequently can teach them more. So I think that even if there are cases where there is a breach that has happened, it is really important for us to get past that and realize that both entities have something important to offer.
And contribute one to the other.
And we need everybody
We need everyone on board, like you said, to save our whole planet.
To save our whole
because
planet.
we're all on this one globe together.
One small globe.
Yes. And you know, it's interesting because a lot of what you said, I think, is really reverberated in the book that you and your husband wrote, Legacy on the Land.
Yes.
Because that book is one of very few, if any other, documentation of people of color's voice within even the U.S. National Park system and their interactions and the real stories from the real people. As you mentioned, politics is always at the grassroots level. And I know this month, it's Women's Month, so of course you know I have all these ladies on the program, Women's History Month, but in celebration of Women's History Month, even on my radio show on Gullah Geechee Rhythm Radio, I focused on Assata Shakur. But to focus on her, I had to give background on who she is. So having her as a member of the Black Panther Party, I then needed people to understand they got their Black Panther from the Deacons for Defense. And there was a quote where the Deacons of Defense was saying they helped all these national organizations during the Civil Rights Movement by protecting them when they came in the community. But the effective change took place when those organizations would leave. And the local people sustained what was going on. So when you mentioned that all politics are local, I thought back on that radio program. And I know you know, just like I do, what the roots of the grass really look like. And sometimes you have to get in there and pull some weeds out, even from amongst the grass roots, to get it to grow.
And that's where our strength is, though, in the roots.
Absolutely right. And as you know, with our tree, all right, and we always say, you must take care of the root to heal the tree. As we always say at the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition, and I know you're one person that helps to put those tools out there to keep us navigating not only the roots on the ground, but now out here in the water and things like that.
God bless
So
you.
God bless you and your work. And definitely, if you all don't have a copy already, that is some reading to have on your shelf. Legacy on the Land by Frank and Audrey Peterman. You can just type it in Google and you can find wherever you need to buy it. But definitely get a copy, and before you plan your next family vacation, read about some of the places they've already been and think about going there, many of which is already paid for by your tax dollars. So you don't have to pay admission. You can go and just enjoy it. And even if it's just today, stop watching the program, come back, pause it, go outside and just enjoy your local park, go to your waterway and just give thanks for it still being there, for it being pristine. And definitely our prayers are with those who've dealt with the tsunami, and we're praying for all the families who are looking for folks that are out there as well. But it takes all of us to bring this earth back in full balance. So I'm glad that I got some help in doing that around here. All right,
thank you,
my sister Audrey. So glad to see you again. God bless you. And Hunter Chillin' know, this year, the what going on.
Mm-mm.